It is Snitchery. How are you doing? I have been such a little beanie brat lately, and I don't know why, because it's summer, so it's getting hotter, but I am getting colder. I'm one of those people, and if you know, you know, who is always cold no matter what. I'm sitting on a heating pad right now. I carry it around with me. I feel so scatterbrained today, or tonight I should say. It's actually like 6 o'clock, but I was in the mood to film. So today, as the title implies, we are going to talk about Instagram and how to grow on Instagram organically without using bots, without buying followers, without joining engagement groups. I obviously have an Instagram account, and I have grown that account from 470K as of last October, so around 6 or 7 months ago, to 670K. So 200,000 followers in 6 months, really bad. And I'm at the point now where I'm getting around 80K to 100K likes per photo, which in terms of engagement for an account my size is really good. So I thought I'd share with you guys sort of how I've quote unquote beat the Instagram algorithm using a few tips and tricks that have been working for me. As the algorithm has been tweaked over the past 7 months, they've consistently continued to work for me, so I thought I'd share them with you guys. But before we get into that, a few housekeeping things. Number one, if you've never seen my face before and you're ever interested in seeing my face again, feel free to subscribe down below. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for sticking with me on this little video journey. Also, excitingly, this video is sponsored. If you've been around on my channel for any period of time, then you can probably guess who the sponsor is, because I am very, very picky with my sponsorship. So when companies want to work with me time and time again, I get really excited because any company I work with is a company I genuinely love. So this video is sponsored by, you guessed it, Audible. If you somehow haven't heard of Audible, it is a database where you can listen to thousands and thousands upon thousands of audiobooks. They have audiobooks on literally every single topic you can imagine. I'm currently listening to audiobooks, well, one audiobook about dinosaurs. I'm listening to an audiobook about the Roman Empire, but the book that has just captured my mind that I am listening to every single night before I go to bed is a book called Leonardo da Vinci by Walter Isaacson. It is a biography. I actually went to Disney World a couple weeks ago with MAC Cosmetics, and in Epcot, there's a ride, I think it's called Spaceship Earth, inside of the big globe. Sort of you walk through human history. There's a little tiny section on Leonardo da Vinci, and I realized that I only had a very surface level knowledge of him, and as I'm really interested in art, I was like, I have to know more. So I've been listening to that book constantly. I am blowing my way through it. It is so good. I am obsessed with the narrator's voice. And I found that, I mean, I'm only 22, so I'm not that old, but I graduated college a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now. So I'm finding that I'm losing a lot of the knowledge that I gained in school. And I found that really upsetting. So Audible has been my go-to way for years now to keep up with learning. And I honestly think that that makes me a more interesting person, a more eloquent person. It certainly makes me more educated. One of my favorite things to do, especially now that it's getting hotter in the summer, is to sit outside, whether that's at a park. It used to be at a nature sanctuary in my old neighborhood. Now I sit in my backyard in Brooklyn, and I just put on my sunglasses and my sunscreen, and I listen to an audiobook, and it is so relaxing. You don't have to strain your eyes. It's just, it is one of my favorite things to do. Just put an audiobook on when you're cleaning, or when you're doing the dishes, or when you're falling asleep, and you will just be absorbing knowledge and becoming a smarter person almost passively. It is one of my favorite services. Audible also has a service called Audible Originals, which is a service inside Audible that hosts exclusive stories that you can only find on Audible by celebrated storytellers. You won't be able to find them anywhere else but on Audible, which is awesome. So if you are interested in trying out Audible for yourself, you want to start a 30-day trial, you will not only get 1 free audiobook, but also 2 Audible Originals, which is awesome. You can get started with listening immediately. You can go ahead and go to audible.com/snitchery or text Snitchery to 500-500. Again, that is going to audible.com/snitchery, SNITCHERY, my username if you don't know the spelling, or text Snitchery to 500-500, and you can get listening and learning immediately. So thank you so much, Audible, for choosing to sponsor this video. Like I said, it has been one of my favorite services for years and years and years, so it just warms my heart that I get to work with them so often. So on to the topic of this video, how to grow on Instagram and how to work that Instagram algorithm in your favor instead of feeling like you are at the mercy of it. Because as soon as you get a handle on the algorithm and you're able to manipulate, has a negative connotation, but you're able to make it work for you rather than against you, I found that it's actually really easy to grow on Instagram. So I'm going to share those tips with you. And the first tip I have is not to buy followers. Now, if you're on this video or watching this video, then you've probably already decided against buying followers, or you will have just done that. But there are lots of reasons, if you're considering it, that you really shouldn't do it. Number one is that Instagram knows when you buy followers. Instagram has ways of figuring out which accounts are fake and which accounts are real. All those sites that say they can give you, I get emails all the time, followers that are undetectable to Instagram, they're not. Instagram is constantly updating their platform. They will know. Eventually, those followers will be taken away. There's a good chance that those followers will be taken away in a massive purge, which will be embarrassing to you. It is literally not worth it. The second reason you don't want to buy followers is because other influencers know if you've bought followers. There are people who, among the industry, everybody knows that they buy followers. It is embarrassing. Like, you don't want to be one of those people. Even if you can get away with it for a few months, maybe eventually it'll come out and people will start looking at your account like, huh, they were growing 30,000 followers last month and now this month they've lost 2,000, but their content hasn't changed at all. What's going on? And then it becomes very obvious that you are buying followers. Now that I just threw a ring. I'm way too enthusiastic right now. Hi, I had a Red Bull. The third reason you don't want to buy followers is because the way Instagram engagement works is that it shows your post to a portion of people before showing your post to everybody. So a portion of your followers. So Instagram, say, chooses at random 10% of your followers to show your post to in the first, I don't remember what it is, I think it's 10 minutes. If they only show it to 10% of your followers and 80% of that 10% is bots, they're of course not gonna like your photo and you're not gonna get any actual engagement. Your real followers won't see any of your content. Essentially, if you're trying to build a business, you don't want that business to be built on a house of cards that can be taken away from you immediately. It's not sustainable, you'll have a ton of anxiety, it's really not worth it. Now, I made a video on this topic before, almost 2 years ago. If you guys wanna check it out, it's a little old, it's a little archaic. I think I'm wearing this exact same hat, which is embarrassing. It definitely still has like a good tip or two, I guess, in terms of basic branding, like usernames, what is the thingy called? Icons? Avatars? Profile pics? So I'm not gonna go over that again because I think most people understand those sort of things by now, but if you wanna check it out, feel free. But the next tip I have that was definitely not included in that video and I think has really changed with how Instagram has changed is to make recognizable content. Now, what I mean by that is that I found, whereas I used to gain most of my followers from brand reposts or hashtags and things like that, that's not necessarily the case anymore. What I gain most of my following from now is the Explore page. So the Explore page is just sort of a conglomeration of posts that the algorithm has decided each user might be interested in. And the reason I say make recognizable content is because I think that I gain most of my following from the Explore page because people look at my cosplays. If you don't know, I am a cosplay account on Instagram and they say, oh, that's Sam from Danny Phantom, or oh, that's Kiki from Kiki's Delivery Service. They immediately know what I'm cosplaying, click on it just to see my rendition, then click on my page and they're like, oh, she does a lot of oh my god, characters I recognize, that's pretty cool, let me follow this girl. So I'm not telling you guys to become a cosplayer or a character recreator. I think a lot of people have seen that it's been working for other creators and they've tried to become cosplayers or beauty cosplayers or recreate characters and it hasn't worked for them. So you do really have to like take your own spin on it. So say you're an illustrator. Maybe instead of just doing random OCs all the time, you can draw someone from a K-pop band. If you're a comedy account, then maybe you want to recreate popular memes. My friend Lala Milan is an actress and sort of runs a kind of a comedy Instagram and she did a really funny rendition of Old Town Road that tons of people loved because tons of people knew what it was. So of course people are going to follow her from that because it's recognizable. So whatever your craft is, whatever you're trying to do, just add a little flair of maybe pop culture, a movie reference or something like that that people can look at and be like, I know exactly what that is, let me check out the rest of their work. The next tip I have is to become a business account. Now, this really should have been my first tip because I think everybody should do this, but the reason you're gonna wanna make a business account is because it gives you these really valuable insights. There's a thing called a creator account now. I tried it for one day and my engagement went way down, so I have not stuck with it, but maybe you want to try that out as well if it's an option to you. I think they're still beta testing, but a business account has been working really well for me. It not only gives you the option to put sort of your occupation, right now mine is makeup artist, even though I'm a cosplayer, I very much focus on the beauty side of things, but it also gives you insights into a whole world of numbers that you wouldn't otherwise have on your account. I'm losing light, sorry. If this is color corrected crazy, I apologize, but the most important important insight I found is that you can go into your insights and essentially figure out which posts of yours have the highest impressions, which posts of yours get the most follows, which posts of yours have the largest reach. You can go in and say by month, of the year, of the week, and see which posts of yours have performed the best. So if you're trying to gain a following, you can go through and see which posts of yours have gained you the most followers. And that's gonna be really helpful for knowing what exactly to post going forward. If you're trying to raise your engagement, you can go through and see which posts of yours have the highest engagement, and you can sort of recreate those posts. The next two sort of go hand in hand. Number one is to be consistent. This is, I think, something everybody knows, but it's really true. So I found that on weeks where I'm consistent, I can gain around 10,000 to 12,000 followers if I post, say, 4 cosplays a week. If I'm not consistent and I post twice a week, I might only gain 2,000 or 3,000 followers that week. So while it all kinds of evens out, there's definitely a direct correlation between the weeks when I'm working really, really hard to be consistent and the weeks when I slack off a little bit. Also, on the topic of being consistent, have a consistent feed. If your feed is really varied and some are selfies and some are outfit pics and there's no rhyme or reason and some are like makeup display pics and the background's not the same, then your followers are gonna go to your account and being like, what am I looking here? Or not your followers, people from the explore page, from hashtags, from a brand repost. And they're gonna be confused, and if they can't figure out immediately what you are or what you're about, they're not gonna follow you, because people spend like 0.2 seconds on your page and then they exit off if their curiosity is not piqued. So I found that I do these colorful backgrounds. I don't know if I was the first to do this. I'm sure I was not the first to do colorful backgrounds, but matching my wigs to my background, and it's really, really been working for me. So if you can find something like that that really works for you, I think that's what keeps a lot of people on my page. Once I've driven them to my page, they think, oh, that's an interesting aesthetic, and it keeps them there scrolling for a little while. Then when they scroll to the top to exit, they're like, you know what, actually this was kind of interesting, and they hit that follow button. The next tip I have is to use your other platforms to drive people to your Instagram. So for me, the biggest one I use to drive people to Instagram is Twitter. Every single time I do a cosplay, I not only post on Instagram, but I also post a side-by-side of my cosplay and the character onto Twitter, and make sure that it's just a tiny little caption, maybe just the character's name, and then Instagram Snitchery. And from that, I gain thousands of followers a week, because a lot of times those posts, you know, get 10,000, 20,000, up to 100,000 likes. Whereas on Instagram, you're mostly going to be reaching people who already follow you. On Twitter, you're going to be reaching a ton of people who have never heard of you before because of retweets. So I found that that's really helpful. If you don't have a Twitter, be sure to make one. And if you're not sort of cross promoting yourself on Instagram on your Twitter, then make sure to be doing that, because it is an amazing tool. And always tag your Instagram like immediately on those posts. The next tip I have is straight from Instagram, and that is to use all of the features of Instagram. Now this means posting on your feed, of course. This also means posting stories. This also means going live, and this also means doing IGTV. Now that might seem like a lot to do. You don't have to do every single one every day, but the Instagram algorithm recognizes when you are using the platform to the fullest extent. So make sure you're not sort of forgetting about or not using any of the features that Instagram has to offer. If you haven't tried out IGTV, give it a go. If you don't post stories every single day, make sure you're doing that. It doesn't take that long to just take a selfie or mention something about your day or do a poll or post a funny picture or whatever. Just make sure that on a consistent basis, just like you're posting on your feed, make sure to use the other features of Instagram. The next tip I have kind of goes against what I said about having a consistent feed, but it's to switch it up every once in a while. If you feel like your content is getting stale, switch that puppy up. Even if you have the best idea in the world and it's working for you and it's working for you and it's working for you and it's worked for you for 2 years, and then all of a sudden nobody's following you anymore. Your posts aren't getting the engagement that they used to. Maybe it's not the algorithm. Maybe people are just bored of what you're doing. If you found that your numbers are sort of tapering off, post something that's completely out of your comfort zone and try to roll with that. That's essentially what I did last Halloween when I started posting these cosplays on Instagram. I was so stale. I was stuck at 470K for about a year, like 470 to 480K. Literally for a year, I couldn't get out of it. And then on Halloween, I started posting costume makeup and cosplays, and immediately in that month gained like 30,000 followers, and it has not stopped at that pace since. So if you're finding that you're getting bored of Instagram, your followers are probably getting bored of your Instagram as well. The next tip I have is giveaways. Now, definitely do not abuse this tip. I know there are lots of accounts where their entire following is just people who followed them for giveaways, and they're essentially empty followers. Like, they're not bots, they're real people, but they might as well be, because they don't actually care about your content outside of getting free stuff. But if you've been plateauing, say you're stuck at 3,000 followers, a beauty influencer, host a giveaway and in the comments say, repost this photo to your feed for an entry. That's the way that I find you get the most followers. It's annoying to other people maybe, but that's the most effective method. Or if you don't feel like being that intrusive, just say tag 2 friends in the comments. You'll be amazed at how quickly you can break a plateau just doing a giveaway. Like I said, definitely don't abuse it. Don't be doing them like monthly, but you know, a couple times a year, maybe even once a month, give back to your followers. Not only does it help you out in terms of numbers, but I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt here if you're a content creator that you would love to give something back to the people who support you. So it's really a win-win. My camera just overheated, so if you moved to your lopsided, sorry. But my last tip would be collaborations. Now, don't be afraid to reach out to artists or content creators that you admire to collaborate with. It's the best way to interact with a lot of the friends you have in the industry as well. Literally, do not be afraid to reach out to people. Almost all the collaborations I've ever done on Instagram, except one, I have reached out to the other person first and not the other way around. They're really fun. Literally, all you have to do is pick a theme and then you do a carousel of the 2 of your photos or the 3 of you or however many people are in this collaboration. It is a great way to sort of not cross-reference, I don't know the word I'm looking for here. Again, it's another example of a win-win between the 2 of you. I've worked with accounts that are bigger than I am, I've worked with accounts that are smaller than I am, and it's always really fun, and it always gives me a spike in creativity to see what they do and to try to push myself to match them. Both gonna gain from this experience because of course you don't have the same following, there's literally nothing to lose, and it's always really fun to do with your friends. So those are the tips I have for how to grow your Instagram account. If you have any questions, please leave them for me down below. If you made it to the end of this video, be sure to put an emoji in the comments that describes your current mood, whatever that may be, and thank you for being my friend today and always. I will see you guys in the next one. Mwah! Bye guys!